Hello and welcome to the weekly reflection from the Chaplaincy Centre at the University of Sheffield for any students, for staff, for friends and alumni of the university and anybody else listening in. And thanks for tuning in as well. We're offering a weekly meditation live, so if anybody wants to interact with us, you're welcome to. And if not, just to catch up afterwards. So we're in an unusual time, both in terms of it being the time before the semester recommences at the university. Lots of us catching up with things that perhaps have been on our to-do list for a long period of time, or maybe new deadlines, new challenges in our studies and in our work. And this is a brief reflection today to help us think about how to keep going in the unusual times that we're facing and encountering. I think one of the important ways for us to check in with ourselves about how we are keeping going is to recognise that we often make only very simple assessments of how we're getting on. It might be, are we keeping to schedule? Have we had enough breaks? Did we eat something nice last night for dinner? And have we been in touch with our friends? These are good measures. All of those are very useful. But sometimes when our work is complex and challenging, we need to break things down into smaller chunks so that we can take the tasks that face us and sometimes can overwhelm us one step at a time. And sometimes if we're facing more of a crisis mode, and simply to be able to identify what is the next thing I'm going to do and what will get me to that point, and then think about what the thing is after that next. Sometimes we have to go forward like that rather than ask the big question of, is everything okay? Because the truth is sometimes everything isn't quite okay, and sometimes things are far from perfect, but we can still keep going one little step at a time. Now, this approach of taking one little step at a time to find a way ahead is an important part of our toolkit for getting through unusual times. And I encourage you to recognise that if the steps that you're trying to take feel too vast or daunting or exhausting, making shorter steps, descriptions on a mental list in our minds or written down so that they're more achievable in a shorter period of time, that can really help our sense of getting things done. And like I said in some of the other reflections, being able to come to the end of the day and to reflect on key things that have gone well, and to make a note of the things that we value. This also helps. Another thing as well is to think of what we can say thank you for. And this is an exercise that might include who we want to say thank you to, but simply we can be experiencing thankfulness as part of the process of reflecting on our lives. And this is a good thing to do either at the end of the day or even at the beginning of a new day, is to think of 3 key things that we can be thankful about. We are surrounded by things that we're not very thankful that are happening, including the restrictions during this pandemic emergency. And that's where we can be really confronted by those, especially if we're listening to the news or watching news media or other people's social media feeds where people are publishing the stories about what's hard. So to counterbalance that for ourselves by giving some time and awareness to thankfulness can really help our sense of autonomy, our sense of well-being, and build an emphasis on gratitude as well as on a to-do list. I think that's also part of the balancing is sometimes it's good to break down the steps of things that we have to do, but sometimes it's not just about what's got to happen next, but also what we can be grateful for. And gratitude can be built not just on tasks accomplished, but gratitude being thankful for things can be about certain elements of our circumstances, certain elements of the relationships we have, the people we love or who love us. And so building gratitude and reducing or chunking up into smaller elements the things that we have to do can go quite some way to helping with our well-being and also with our reflectiveness, our mindfulness, our meditation on our lives and our sense of direction. Can I point us again to the resources that we provide from the Chaplaincy Centre called deepsearch.uk. So if you just put that into the web, deepsearch.uk, you'll find a chance there to reflect on what you're doing now, what you'd like to do next, and what you'd like to do further ahead and into the future. And maybe that would be a useful tool, which is entirely confidential and is simply there for your own reflection, rather than interacting with anything that's got artificial intelligence in it or is being shared. There's none of that. It's just you using that tool to help reflect on how your life is now and how you'd like it to change. So maybe that will be useful, or in the weeks ahead once the restrictions have reduced. Thanks for listening in today, and you'll see a link further down to all the sessions that we've been running during the vacation period. Finally, to say, this is our second weekly meditation at 1 p.m, but we're going to continue with them with these in the weeks ahead. So do listen in a week's time, Wednesday, 1 p.m, or catch up afterwards, and we'll be sure to share the link on our Chaplaincy social media and website as well. Thanks very much again, and it's been good to be in some kind of conversation with you.